Hokey religions and ancient weapons. Match for a good blaster at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This episode, we're going to talk about Alphabet Squadron and many other things. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Welcome to episode 98.
Yep.
That's rough.
I say it every time. I'm not going to say it again.
This is it. Yeah. So, Michael, how has your Star Wars been?
My Star Wars has been wet.
Oh.
Sloppy.
The best kind of Star Wars.
Wet and sloppy.
So
I've been reading a book.
No, that's not possible.
Well,
It can't be done.
It's very hard. It's words, thinking.
Just like still on the cover.
Yeah,
you're still working your way around.
Yeah. I'm reading through the table of contents.
The best part, the most informative part of the book.
Oh, 133. 204.
I'll see you soon, chapter 5.
Or not soon enough. I skipped right to chapter 5.
Ha, gotcha.
I get really frustrated.
Try to surprise it so that it gives you more information.
I get really frustrated because I don't know what's going on, and I close it. I get rid of the book.
This makes no sense.
Except it's my Kindle, so I just fold my Kindle in half and toss it.
Great. Perfect.
It's Thrawn Alliances, Tyler.
The book that you forgot existed.
Yeah, for some reason.
Because the third one comes out in
A month.
literal weeks. Yeah, a month, I guess, from this.
It's good.
It is. As I mentioned previously, months and months ago when the book came out, it's good.
Last year
Yeah.
or further.
Probably.
When did it come out? I don't remember when it came out.
I think it was
It was a
around, was it around last celebration?
No.
I feel like it was around last
The
celebration.
one we went to?
No.
Okay.
The one we didn't get to go to, just like this next one that we won't get to go to.
Which, by the way, speaking of I think it was either VIP or I know at least the 4-day passes for that sold out within minutes.
Yeah, it was gone.
I mean,
Completely gone in minutes. Yeah.
crazy. 2017, Tyler. 2 years ago, this book came out.
Jesus, you're slow. So 2 years ago.
No, you can't say I'm slow. I just started it.
That's pretty slow.
I haven't been reading it since 2017.
You forgot it existed because it was 2 years old. God save your children.
I don't know.
Who are you? Wait.
Children.
Dad, I've been here for years.
Father.
Father, it is I.
Ooh. What?
Come closer.
What are you?
Let me see you with my real eyes.
I take them out of a bag.
So yeah, Thrawn Alliances is great. As mentioned years ago on this same podcast.
True.
I love how the relationship between Thrawn and Vader is built on.
He's so patient. With Anakin, at least.
Patient like you have to be with a child.
Yes. So very...
It is so patronizing reading it that it makes me so happy. How patronizing it feels. Like how Thrawn just must be in pain with every word he has to speak to Anakin.
But it's not like he's talking down to him. He's being very patient.
No. He
and very
understands he's an
respectful.
idiot. He knows that Anakin's an idiot, so he just tries to help him along.
It's a fact that he's accepted that Anakin
he
is
knows
stupid.
Anakin is just dumb, and he has to slowly get him to realize things. And he does it for the betterment of Anakin. He tries to make him better. It doesn't help, really.
I like the
he
part
tries.
in the very beginning, which is the only part I've read.
Chapter 1, page 1.
Thrawn.
That was the best part.
This is a Thrawn book? They get into that bar fight.
Yeah.
They get jumped, basically. And Anakin wakes up after the gas that hits him, and he sees they're like talking about what just happened, and Anakin sees that Thrawn has blaster marks, blaster burns all over his chest. And basically Anakin asks him what, "Oh, you've been hit," and Thrawn's like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's nothing."
Yeah.
And then moves on.
Don't worry about it.
Like,
At least I didn't fall asleep on the floor. You dumb shit.
right. He's sitting there. Anakin wakes up. Thrawn's basically protecting Anakin, sitting in a
He's like
chair
sitting
with
in
a
a chair,
blaster
just
facing the door,
Waiting.
just waiting for Anakin to wake up because Anakin's an idiot.
Yeah, basically.
It's good.
That's the rest of the book. Is Thrawn just taking care of baby Anakin, trying to get him not to die.
I feel like he respects Anakin's ability to fight because Anakin does fight well.
Yeah.
And related to that, I like the way that Timothy Zahn describes the double vision that Jedis have, the way they're able to predict.
It's almost like slowed down, like
bullet time a little bit.
Yeah, bullet time, like
a little bit.
Precogging what's going to happen with the possibilities of what's about to happen.
Yeah, he describes it as a double vision where Anakin can see a moment into the future and then react based on what he sees.
Yeah.
So like, if someone's pointing a gun at him and firing, he sees the blast hit him at a certain point. Yeah. At this next moment in the future, so he knows how to. Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. It's pretty cool how that's described.
Which I mean, and then recently they had E3 and EA had their own thing with Jedi Fallen Order, which I guess that's happened since our last episode.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting to see how basically it's similar, seeing similar like things put into, I guess, that same like thought process, at least the way they were talking about it, put into like the video game too.
Yeah.
Is like being able to see what's going to happen to like be able to block stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Slow things down.
Yeah.
But yeah, book. I mean, even with the first book, Timothy Zahn's descriptions of any battle is just it paints a very vivid picture.
Yeah, but it's not technical. It's still very leaves things open to the imagination, and like you said, paints a picture.
His description of everything is just it's a very vivid image of exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's great.
That's why I love all of his books.
It's good. Maybe I'll keep reading.
So I'm glad you're 2 years behind and catching up. Hopefully you'll be in time for the third one that comes out in a month.
Still haven't read Aftermath.
The one book series that has affected almost every other book series and piece of media that's come out, and you've not read it. The more things that keep coming out, the more like they have related to what's happened in the Aftermath series.
I'll get to it.
Sure.
Don't worry.
Before The Rise of Skywalker comes out? No. That's only a few months from now. You don't have years.
Shit. It's 6 months.
Yeah.
5 months? 6 months.
You reading 3 books in 6 months.
Oh, 3 books.
That's impossible.
Whew.
It can't be done. No one could do this. How? Who?
All right, listen.
What?
I could read the books in 6 months. Do I want to read the books in 6 months?
Yes, you do.
No.
You should.
Could I read the books in 6 months? Yes. Do I want to read the books in 6 months? No.
But why?
Because it's words.
It's so hard.
It's so words.
It's so words.
No.
That's so words.
That's not why.
It's frustrating being your friend.
Well, you signed the contract, so.
I did sign the friend contract.
I'm afraid it's out of my hands at this point.
No, but I mean, the Aftermath series, with everything that's happening with Palpatine specifically, and the more that Operation Cinder comes up and like Alphabet Squadron, which I'm reading currently, and just other stuff, everything that's going on with the aftermath of the Empire, like that book planted so many seeds, that series planted so many seeds for what's actually happening now that it's, I assume, I mean, it's hard. That was years ago, but I assume those were all seeds they wanted to plant because they knew those were coming.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about it. The Shattered Empire comic series came before Aftermath, and that set up Operation Cinder, which is that was the first time we heard of it, and the Sentinels and his
and
observatories.
They built on that in Aftermath with the observatories and the Sentinels and
yeah.
what Operation Cinder was doing, and how then Thrawn got brought into some of that
Yeah.
at the end.
Explaining the unknown regions and the routes into them.
Yeah. And then there was stuff with Yu Patashu doing some kind of weird shit with a Sith mask and a holocron, which we don't really know what that was about.
And the Force sensitive kids, right?
Yeah.
He was the one
with
gathering
the
them.
acolytes. He was building up
Yeah.
acolytes of the Sith. And that possibly has implications into them trying to bring Palpatine back.
I did not know that they tried to blow up Jakku.
Yeah, that was the plan. Jakku
That might have something to do with me not reading the
Aftermath.
books.
Yes,
Maybe.
and I think it was in the last book, in the Battle of Jakku. Yeah, that observatory was like drilling into the core of Jakku, and was going to just like unleash the planet on itself.
Wasn't there something about Jakku being like a fertile green planet before all this happened?
Not before the Battle of Jakku. No, it was still a desert.
Really? I thought
maybe years and years, and like maybe a long time
like
ago.
back when the Emperor first sent Tashu to Jakku, wasn't it a green planet back then?
That I don't remember.
I could have sworn I read something about that.
That I don't know. But yeah, they were like, it was basically drilling to the core to just like unleash the planet on itself by like getting to the core, just like opening the planet up for it to just destroy itself. Almost.
And they had planned on blowing up the planet while the New Republic fleet was in orbit battling the Imperial remnants.
They handled it better than he assumed.
Right. Than he had planned for. Which makes me wonder, is that why the First Order built the weapon that they built to destroy the New Republic fleet? I wonder if that's connected at all.
I mean, that's what we talk about almost every time, is how much of this is actually Palpatine.
Yeah.
How much of this was his plan.
Right.
I mean,
that's something we were talking about earlier too, was the purpose of Operation Cinder.
Yeah, that's in Alphabet Squadron, is the main character, Yurika Quell. She was a TIE pilot for Shadow Squadron? No, Shadow Wing. So she was a TIE pilot for this like elite.
Which that was the group that was introduced in Battlefront 2.
Right, the 204th Shadow Wing.
Yeah.
Which is this like basically
elite,
like the TIE
special
group,
forces kind of
essentially.
People, yeah.
And she defected, and she's now helping with this whole Alphabet Squadron thing.
Yeah.
And that was her assumption of what Operation Cinder's purpose really was to weed out. To basically weed out whoever was weak in the Empire and only have the most hardened, heartless, like no qualms with just mass genocide of planets for no reason, and leaving what was left of the Empire to just be these just pieces of shit that would just do whatever the Emperor wanted.
Right.
No questions asked.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's where she fell apart. That's where she wanted to get out, was that Operation Cinder was just like, go to these planets and just kill everyone. Yeah. No reason, no tactical advantage, no, nothing for the war or for a battle, but just destroy planets fully and utterly, just as a show of power, basically.
Just create chaos.
Yeah, there is absolutely no reason, and it's just mass genocide on multiple planets, and that's where she wanted to get out, where she just realized this isn't for a battle anymore. These orders aren't for a purpose anymore. It's just for the sake of death, and that's why she wanted to get out, and why many other people got out as well.
So you've got these Imperial remnants. Like you said, weeding out the weak ones, weeding out the ones
and they're
who
all
aren't
and they're all infighting as well. They're all infighting as well. So again, it's them fighting each other, and whoever's the strongest of those most hardened people will be left, because they're all trying to carve out a piece of the Empire for themselves.
Yeah,
like talks about a couple different like commanders, and I'm only like 30% into the book, but like one guy messages this other person that has a Star Destroyer. He's like, "Yeah, come join my forces," and she's like, "No, I'm setting up a thing here. You can come here and we'll fix your ships up, and then you can either be on your way or you can stay with me." But just everyone's trying to either step up and be the one in charge of everything,
Yeah.
or just carve out their own piece and just control what they can control and stay out of the rest of the empire.
Does it mention Admiral Sloan?
It does. So this woman's like, I'm not trying to take over anything, but I am trying to rebuild and maintain what I have until Admiral Sloan, or she mentions Admiral Sloan by name, until Admiral Sloan or someone else steps forward to be in control, and then I will report.
Because Admiral Sloan was on that like council sort of thing. I remember that from the first Aftermath book.
Yeah. So this is this woman. I can't remember her name right now, but she's the main commander of the 204th.
Okay.
So she has her own Star Destroyer and a couple other ships and stuff, and she's trying to carve out a few planets where she can rebuild and create basically a base of operations.
Right.
Waiting for whoever's going to step up to be in charge, so she can then report in and still be a part of the Empire, but she has no desire to lead it herself. I mean, speaking about Alphabet Squadron in general, it's just from what I just mentioned, right? The main character is a TIE pilot who defected.
Yeah.
Which is just a fantastic idea in and of itself to get into. It gets into how the people that have defected or either have been captured go to this planet, this base that's called Trader's Remorse, is the camp, basically this internment camp where they're all interviewed. Traders,
not
yeah.
Traders.
No, Trader's Remorse.
Okay.
Where they're interviewed and processed, and they stay there for however long they stay there, and technically they are allowed to leave whenever they want.
Interesting.
But if they leave, they really have nothing, and they'll always be a target.
Right.
For either the Empire or the New Republic.
Right. Battlefront 2 got into that a little bit about with the what's her name, the main character from that, where she was also part of Shadow Wing, or at least the Special Forces group.
Okay.
And she also defected. Or at least she got to a point where it was during Operation Cinder, and they were like receiving orders to go torch these planets and, you know, create all this chaos and stuff.
Right.
They were doing environment engineering to destroy
it talks about that.
Basically permanently destroying these planets
by screwing up their environment,
atmospheres and environments and stuff, introducing storms and all this crazy stuff to like it wasn't just about killing everybody. It was about completely ruining a planet.
Yeah, it talks about that.
And you know, whatever else that they needed to do too. But yeah, she was in the same kind of situation where she was in this group receiving orders as part of Operation Cinder, and got to the point where like, what are we doing? Like this, there's no point to this. We're just, I thought I joined the Empire to create order and unite the galaxy, and you know, I thought that was what our purpose in the Empire was supposed to be, and here we are just killing people for no reason, blindly. So she ended up defecting.
Interesting. Because
of that. It's a similar kind of story. It sounds like.
Okay. Yeah.
So far, this person Yurika goes in a different direction, I guess.
Yeah, Yurika. It's YRICA. So I'm assuming Yurika,
I guess.
Quell. She actually mentions to someone that she joined the Empire to defect. She saw all these on her home planet. She saw all these videos of Mon Mothma and stuff like that, talking about joining the Republic and how they needed pilots, and she wasn't a pilot. So she joined the Empire to go to flight school to learn to be a pilot, so that she could defect and join the.
Well, that's what a lot of the Rebel Alliance pilots did. They would join the academy,
but she never ended up doing it.
Okay.
She actually
just stuck with the Empire.
She you know, the people she ended up being around weren't the terrible version of the Empire, right? The people she ended up being with were the people who actually believed in the Empire in a good way, not the way the Emperor believed in it. She never really got to see the bad side until Cinder.
Okay.
She saw what the Empire from the face value, what the Empire was trying to do and create order and stuff like that. She never actually got to see the dark side all that much. Mm-hmm. So she ended up staying with the Empire because she actually ended up kind of believing what they were trying to do and how she believed in it to the point where she mentions in the book where she, if it wasn't for the rebels, they could have succeeded in bringing order to the galaxy. And how it was the rebels that kind of ended up ruining everything by making the Emperor wanting to start mass chaos and fight back and do all this. But whereas obviously we know the Emperor's his whole purpose was to rule with power and anger, and not to create, not to create to create order. That really wasn't his goal. That's what he was telling people.
It was all about we've talked about this before. It was all about the acquisition of power and
the media presence of him.
Inflicting cruelty on.
Yeah, the media presence of him was to create order in the galaxy.
Sure. Yeah.
And so she actually believed in that possibility and stayed with the Empire and never actually left until she saw with Cinder what ended up happening. But it was interesting, like her goal from the start was to join the rebels, and she never ended up doing it.
Interesting.
Which is interesting. So yeah, I mean the whole so far the story of the purpose of the book is Shadow Wing is out there currently still wrecking Republic ships and doing stuff, and they cannot find them. They cannot. Every time they attack, they're successful, and they just can't track them down. So they find out that she was part of the 204th, and they're using her with this group, which is the beginnings of Alphabet Squadron so far. And, I'm a third through the book. There's a U-wing pilot, an A-wing pilot, and she's flying an X-wing instead of a TIE. And so they're using her and her information of knowing the 204th to try to help track them down to stop them. Which is good. I really enjoy it so far.
Nice. I will say I got it wrong. The Special Forces group in Battlefront is Inferno Squad.
Oh, Inferno Squadron. Okay.
And that was more of a, like they're not strictly
were they pilots,
a fighter.
Or were they?
They're all
more
pilots.
Troopers? Okay.
Or at least they all flew their own ships. But that was more of a Special Forces, like boots on the ground type of group, whereas this is a strictly fighter squadron.
204th.
Or the 204th.
Yeah, they were just pilots.
Right.
They're just fighter squadron.
So yeah, it's similar. They had similar missions where like the 204th was involved all the way back to like Battle of Hoth days.
Right.
And the Infernal Squadron was involved in like the stealing of Death Star plans or recovering of Death Star plans. Like around the Scarif,
that makes sense.
Rogue One era, that kind of thing. They had similar goals, but and then they were both eventually involved in Cinder, just with different purposes.
That makes sense.
So
yeah, and I mean, in Shadow
Sounds
Squadron,
similar.
the guy on the New Republic side that's starting this, he's calling it this like information group. He's kind of the head of New Republic intelligence, but no one really believes in what he's trying to do as a purpose. Like it's just him. He started this group he has 3 other people currently helping him, and that's it. That's all the resources he has. No one else is willing to back him up until he actually has.
Oh,
proof.
we were talking about this, yeah.
And so he's saying how the like Mon Mothma and all of them. They're trying to do good and they believe in the good of people, but he believes that that intelligence is going to be what is going to protect and save the New Republic, not actions, but intelligence.
Yeah.
Not like like intelligence, like military intelligence, basically, like learning what's going on and keeping track of things, and that's really not what the New Republic is focusing on, which totally tracks to what happened in Bloodlines, right? Where Leia finds out that this whole the beginnings of the First Order has just been built right under their noses.
Yeah,
there's no one's keeping track of any of this intelligence. All this information that they could be keeping track of is not at the forefront of what they're trying to do.
Right. It's all politics. It's
all they're trying to solve
power struggles.
They're trying to solve stuff with policy and not keeping tabs on military intelligence type stuff.
Right.
And that's what this guy that started this group. That's how he feels, is like without information we're going to lose.
See, I really like that story. I like how just the irony of the the goal to prevent another empire from being created by scaling back the New Republic's military and like making it a more democratic
Just allowed it to happen.
process for member systems. Yeah, basically created the new empire in that it pissed off all these like it there's all this chaos with all these member worlds all trying to vie for power and becoming disappointed with how the New Republic is handling things, and
Right.
eventually they start funding what becomes the First Order. This whole thing. Yeah, and the New Republic doesn't have the forces to respond to something like that because they scaled back their military.
And that's what brought them down.
Right. And this intelligence thing, this intelligence team that that this guy can't get anyone to pay attention to, like that's another reason why they weren't able to find out about the First Order in time. Yeah, I really, really like that whole story when the New Republic tries to reform.
The political story behind everything that's been happening is fantastic.
Yeah.
Just the political drama that's happening.
We keep saying that would be such a great era for like a TV show or something.
I just need a Law and Order Star like Coruscant. Yeah, that was so good. I want old man shows of Star Wars. That's
like
really
a House
all I
of
want.
Cards for Star Wars. Grand political, a West Wing for Star Wars.
Yeah. I guess so. Just talking about that, I haven't even thought about that. Right. So going into Rise of Skywalker, we don't have a republic anymore. Their entire system was destroyed.
Yeah.
All of their planets where the main republic was destroyed. And now the First Order, we've been told the First Order has spread wider, but we haven't really seen that. We've talked about that too, where we assume they're more widespread than what we've seen because it's been talked about how they were already built up and they may be controlling planets for all we know, but we haven't gotten to see that yet. Yeah. All we've seen is the group that's having to chase down these rebels, basically. Yeah. So what happens now? At the end of Rise of Skywalker, what?
At the end of Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, what? So what now? There's no New Republic. I assume by the end of Rise of Skywalker, there may not be a First Order. Maybe. Where from the political story side, which is not obviously the purpose of the films, from the political side of things, what happens now?
You're getting into trade embargo territory here.
Oh, now there are two of them.
It's full circle.
Oh no, it just loops back. But yeah, so what happens now? Politically, what happens next?
I don't know. I mean,
because I hadn't thought about that until we started talking about this. How there is no more New Republic, really. There's no remnants of them.
There's no clear leader for something like that either. Like there's no Mon Mothma. I assume there's not going to be a Leia.
We don't know if Leia's going to technically die.
I don't know. Does she persist? And
so, yeah, I mean, there's...
Persevere?
There seems to be so little left.
Yeah.
Where do they go? What happens? I mean, there's
Is it just
nothing.
A free for all now?
There's no overarching group.
Galactic government.
So from a political standpoint, I can't even. I have no idea.
I can't even,
as the children would say. Where do they go? What do they do? Who does what?
As the thoughts say.
So there's no New Republic. Obviously the purpose of the core films are not the political story, even though it has been, I guess. But the new ones, the sequel trilogy has not been focused on the political story.
Yeah, right.
The prequels were too focused on the political story. The original trilogy were just right. So it may not even focus on that. So the First Order may still exist, I guess, in some capacity, much like the Shattered Empire after the end of this movie.
Do you think it would repeat that pattern?
It's all
like
just
what happens to the First Order when Hux defects, which I assume is going to happen, and when Kylo is either turned or dies?
Right. It just becomes the Shattered Empire. And they just start messing shit up because they can.
Yeah, what would happen? I mean, and does it all tie into what Palpatine's plan for all this was?
Right.
Palpatine had to have seen the First Order's creation happening eventually. especially with him wanting to send his remnants away into the unknown regions. You would think that the return of some sort of military force like that would
with that force starting on the political side too. It started in the Senate.
Yeah.
And the New Republic Senate. That's where the
newly reformed Senate.
Yeah, that's where it started, which is totally where Palpatine would have planted seeds for that to be able to happen.
I don't know. I mean, Tarkin or the Emperor disbanded the Senate shortly after the Death Star was built.
Right.
So the Senate hasn't existed until the Empire fell.
I don't know. I just see.
So I don't know if the Palpatine would have had his hands in the new Senate. He may have foreseen the chaos that would have happened after the Empire was destroyed. You know.
But if there's no New Republic and there's, I assume, some piece of First Order still remaining.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who deals with the rest of the galaxy?
So unlike the Empire, in that the Empire had two of its biggest super weapons destroyed.
Right.
It lost a bunch of people in the Battle of Endor.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a giant battle like that for the First Order.
They lost Starkiller, which, I mean, we saw masses of forces on Starkiller. I assume not all of them made it off.
But it's been clear that even after Starkiller, they're not going anywhere.
And then they had a huge fleet that was destroyed by Holdo.
I guess so. But then now...
That was a pretty giant fleet. That was a super Star Destroyer, essentially, and like, what, a dozen other Star Destroyers?
Half a dozen, maybe, yeah. But now we know that it's been a year since all that, and they're even stronger.
Right.
They're more prevalent. So the trajectory for them is just up so far. I mean, that's what we're being told.
But that has to, because the story has been steeped in the political drama of Palpatine and the Jedi, I assume that will be resolved in this film too. Like, you can't just end the film with like, we fixed everything with Palpatine, but the First Order is just like in control of it.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't end the movie with the First Order in control of the galaxy.
They haven't, at least according to what we're being told from Rise of Skywalker, they haven't suffered major losses that really have set them back.
Right, but they
like
have,
the
they
Empire
have to now.
did in the original trilogy.
They have to by now. Like, in this movie, they have to.
Well, yeah, I guess that's
you can't end the movie with the First Order just.
I guess that's what
I'm
saying.
All right, we stopped Palpatine while the First Order is just in control of everything. Like, that's, you can't.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Is what is that going to be? What
right.
are they?
Well, I assume,
is Palpatine's plan to crush the First Order at the end?
Yeah,
of all
the Resistance.
This?
The Resistance has forces built up by now too, because they've had time. I assume,
but nothing near what the Rebel Alliance had. I would assume
probably not. I mean, Leia put out that call for help at the end of Last Jedi, so I assume people have responded to that and they've built up a force.
And in some of the comics, the like Age of Resistance comics or whatever that series was called, they've said that they have like the Mon Calamari support is starting to come back a little bit, and so I'm sure they have some sort of military force.
So there's going to be some giant battle between the First Order and the Resistance. That's inevitable. That's going to happen in the films. It's not just going to be about Palpatine and Rey.
That is part of the question, though. How powerful, how much support does the Resistance have at this point? Like, has that grown just as much as the First Order has? I don't know.
Yeah. So from a political standpoint, I don't understand. I can't fathom who or where that ends up.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be like the Jedi where it's like, there's no one's in control anymore. Like, they can't just leave it open like that where it's like, no one should be a Jedi or a Sith. Just be yourself. I mean, you can't do that from a governmental standpoint, right? Someone has to. That shit's too crazy to leave alone. It's just going to turn into pirates and smugglers and chaos if you don't have some sort of power, something to, I don't know,
some sort of order, I guess, or
some kind of second order. There could be a new order. It's It's just the world. It's just the WWO. It's the new. Isn't that what that was? The New Order.
Is
Isn't
that what it was?
Isn't that what that wasn't that in the World
I
Wrestling?
don't
Was it
know.
WWE that had New Order? I can't remember.
Well,
But
NWO?
there's
NWO is what you're thinking of, right?
yeah, New World Order. That's it. There's got to be something. It can't be a new republic, another republic, second republic. No, it's just a bank.
Wow.
You can't have a new order or a second order or a second republic or a new republic, a newer republic, the best republic.
You're getting there. Keep going.
Okay, I'll
Keep
think of
throwing
one.
stuff on the wall. Eventually something will stick.
Fantastic republic, good order.
The good order.
Is that it? Did we find it? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right.
The good order.
I assume this is a scene that's going to happen in The Rise of Skywalker where they're
It's
just
like-
throwing out names for the new political, association.
It's like youth pastor energy. Hey there, bud. What's got you down there?
Welcome to the good order.
We're the good order. We just want to be your friends.
Great.
Well, I watched Revenge of the Sith recently, and watching that again, it was interesting seeing like where the Jedi ended up, obviously with The Last Jedi and everything Luke believed, and then going back to like the height of Jedi arrogance.
Yeah.
Was that movie pretty much?
Yeah, them just being total dickwads.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how justified Anakin was at times for as angry as he was.
They were all so just dickish all the time.
like using him to spy on the Emperor because they suspected the Emperor of something.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, that's an okay move, but you're using the most vulnerable person, the person who you know is being twisted by the Emperor, because they knew at that
Idiots.
point.
Yeah.
That's why they chose him to report back on the Emperor, because
It's all their
they knew.
fault.
But like at the same time, so yeah, they know that he's close friends with the Emperor, and he's like the Emperor is confiding in him, and maybe
Yeah.
he is telling him stuff that they need to know. At the same time, they're so arrogant that they don't think that the Emperor won't try to. Oh, I mean, he's just the Chancellor at that point. They don't
Yeah.
know he's the Emperor. He's not the Emperor, but Palpatine. I mean, they don't think past. Like they don't think one step ahead.
Which
like,
makes no sense.
okay, he's
for
this close
them
with the
being them.
Chancellor. Do you think that maybe the Chancellor is going to be twisting his mind a little bit? Is going to be like ingratiating himself to Anakin?
Right.
It's like just the height of arrogance. And yeah, the Jedi do need to end. Luke is right.
Yeah.
It's funny watching that movie and then going to Last Jedi and thinking about all the complaints people have with that story and how Luke has become, he's lost all his innocence and blah, blah, blah. All the stupid crap.
The bullshit.
Like it makes sense. I mean, watch all of these movies. Watch what the Jedi ended up and then what happened to Luke because he tried to go down the Jedi path again.
Yeah.
And then everything that happened with Ben, and history is repeating itself. It's good. This is good, Tyler. Star Wars is good, is what I'm trying to say, okay?
Fine. I'll try it out. I'll give it a shot. But yeah, I mean,
I just want you to admit, after 98 episodes of this show,
fine, it's
Star Wars
all right.
is good, okay?
It's fine.
Just say yes for once.
yes.
God. There, we can be done with the show now. Finally.
It was all trying to convince me to like Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, the whole prequel trilogy is just like everything that's happening. The Jedi Council is just the largest group of dickbags that.
Even Yoda, that's what's crazy
Yeah.
is even Yoda sometimes is just so blind, even though he's the wisest one there,
To a point, but yeah, I mean, they're just so.
Or maybe it's that he's so removed or dispassionate.
Maybe.
Because there's the scene where
It's mostly Mace Windu. He's the problem.
well, he dies.
Oh, that's good.
So problem's taken care of. The scene where Obi-Wan and Yoda go back to the temple after Anakin has kind of raised it,
Yeah. Yeah.
killed everybody. And it's like as soon as Yoda walks in, he knows what happened.
Yeah.
As soon as they find that it was the lightsaber marks on the He knows what happened.
Yeah.
But he's so just like, oh well, about it.
It was time.
Because Obi-Wan goes to watch the security footage and then has the worst acting ever. You know?
Then he tries not to laugh while saying younglings. Yeah.
I can't believe it. I won't. I can't watch anymore. Just the worst scene ever. But
what good movies.
Before he goes to turn the security footage on, which also I love is just like a condensed reshot version of everything that had happened in the last 10 minutes or something.
The CCTV shot version of what just happened.
Great angles and everything. Yeah. The lines were different from the scenes that we just saw just a few minutes ago because they're condensed. Anyway, before he goes to turn that on, Yoda's like, only pain you will find.
Yeah.
It's a good
It's
Yoda.
like, don't worry about it.
It's a good Yoda
don't watch that. It's not good.
It's a good Yoda impression.
It was perfect.
Only pain you will find. I'm not even doing the way he talks.
No.
Find pain only you in will. I don't know. It's good. Is what I'm on the whole. Let's say, in general, it's good.
Yeah.
The story as a whole, and I think they've been faithful to that with this new trilogy. I'm completely going off topic here. But so I'm excited to see where.
Yeah, that loops into the whole political standpoint. The same thing with the Jedi, right? There shouldn't be a new Jedi Order in charge of things.
Yeah,
because that didn't work out at all.
Right,
because they were just being as strict and they were being very controlling by the point we saw them in the prequel trilogy.
That's a good point. Like,
where they were extremely controlling and high and mighty and in charge of everything and basically telling people what they needed to do.
Yeah. So you had the Old Republic,
not as damagingly so as the Empire, but
So you had the Old Republic before that was just slow and just not quick to action for people who needed it. Then you had the Jedi Order that was just arrogant assholes who thought they knew better than everyone else. And then you had the Empire, which obviously ruled through fear and cruelty and all that stuff. And then after that, you had the New Republic, which tried to learn from all that, but ended up just being chaos because they were almost too democratic about things.
Yes.
You know?
Everyone had to agree, basically, and that's not going to happen.
Right. And then out of that rose this kind of, oh, we're here for your good. We're here to do away with all of this stuff that's been before. This not cruelty-based system, but still very strict dictatorship in the First Order.
It's all been just like pieces of leadership of like these roles where like you said, you know, the Empire was trying to quote create order but through fear.
They ruled the
Jedi was trying to create order through almost force ish. Like we have
disguised as justice.
We have magic powers. Don't do bad things.
Disguised as justice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
right.
Like pointing a gun at you and saying, you don't want to do bad stuff, right? And then the Empire was...
That's a mob.
Yeah, the Jedi was a mob. That is exactly what they were. And then the Empire was, you know...
It'd be a real shame if you tried to do some bad stuff.
Because I can slice you in pieces. You don't like your knees, do you? Then the Empire was, it was order.
Imagine if you just cut out someone's knees.
Just their kneecaps?
Just the knees.
Sliced off the kneecap. Yeah, it'd be pretty bad, I assume.
It's like putting a loaf of bread on its end and then slicing down the top. What is that? It's not a loaf anymore. I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Anyway, continue.
So yeah, the Empire is order through fear. Then the New Republic is order through choice, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like this weird combination
and
of
the First Order
that
is
work.
Order through... It's not even fear. It's just... It's
order through force.
Through force. Through power. Through force. It's not... I mean, it probably is as violent as the Empire was.
It's more disguised. More subtle.
The First Order is?
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Possibly.
Well, think about like Resistance. The way they
Right.
were portrayed
But
at the station.
it's almost back to mob mentality. Like it's this not mob mentality like that thing, but like the mentality of a mob,
right.
where it's like you wouldn't want bad stuff to happen, right? And they're the ones causing the bad stuff in the first place.
Exactly. They're creating a problem for people and then providing the solution.
Right.
Exactly
So it's almost
a
like
mob.
back to that, but not the Jedi.
Right.
So it's like
Except the Jedi weren't
nothing works.
They weren't so nefarious about it. The Jedi were more.
No.
Yeah, we'll help you deal with your problems, but you got to fall in line.
Right.
know?
Basically.
But then also combined with this like dispassion,
Yeah.
not really caring about
Loathing
anything.
that they are better than everyone. It's so hard to be better than all of you pieces of shit.
So emo.
Yeah. They're just so upset how good they are.
Yeah.
That's most of the prequels, is them just being like, ugh, we're fantastic.
So we've tried all of that.
Yeah. so
Now what's next?
I assume Leia understands and sees all that, right? At this point, she saw where the good order. She saw where the New Republic went wrong, because she separated off of it because she found out what was happening and they weren't willing to deal with it.
Yeah.
So she's seen that too. So does she have an idea where to go? Or is it just like, or is it pointless at this point where it's like we can't
be a galactic
we can't be helped.
ruling force.
We're all bad, nothing can be done. Does it need to be a planetary, like each planet just needs to handle themselves, which is kind of what the Empire, I guess not the Empire, I guess, yeah, what the Empire kind of was for face value, where like each planet's in control of itself, but also has to,
really, the
report.
Empire was never really subtle.
Or I guess
about
more with the Senate. I guess that's kind of like what the point of the Senate was, where it's like each planet's in charge of itself, but then we kind of make decisions together sometimes.
Yeah, that was less the Empire. The Empire was less subtle.
I guess
the
so.
Empire was absolutely rule by fear.
The Senate without the Jedi, I guess.
The Senate was disbanded, and the local Moffs were given power over their territories. Is basically how it was described.
Is the solution the Senate without Jedi because the Jedi were the problem, or is that?
But then the New Republic tried that, and it was just chaos because no one could enforce. They were too pacifist about everything. No one could enforce law. No one could get people to agree on things. So I don't know.
Because without having any military force, it seems like you can't help anyone.
And you allow threats like the First Order to be created in your midst.
And then you have problems with pirates and the
ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah. So I don't
know.
What is the political response at the end of this? What could be done?
Yeah.
And I don't everything else is falling apart, and I don't think there's many more choices at this point.
I don't know. Is there going to be a
Christianity?
Uh-oh. Where's this going?
It's the answer, Michael.
Oh. I think you mean Xenu is the answer, Tyler.
Okay. Sorry. Maybe, is it? It won't be that stupid, right? It's not going to be like the answer is Force Enlightenment.
Is Xenu?
It's not like Force Enlightenment where there's
what if Scientology is the answer?
Right. Like the whatever new understanding we come to with the Force in this movie, I assume is not going to be the answer because that'd be super lame. Where it's not like, oh, the Force is in charge, so we just all need to flow with it. I assume that's not what's going to happen. God forbid.
Okay. No, yes. No, yes.
No, yes. All right.
But
very clear. Thank you.
Yes, no.
Counterpoint.
Yes, no.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
But I'm saying it would still be cool to find out more about the Force.
Well, yeah, we're going to, and it seems, from what we've heard, it seems like that's going to be a big piece of this film, is just understanding the Force a little more, especially if Luke's coming back and having some more understanding from Luke's side of the Force.
Yeah,
we're supposed to get some of that, but at the same point,
what if
the Force can't be the answer?
But what if we get true balance Like this whole story has been about the Force trying to achieve balance.
But that's such an understandable thing. As a human being, as a human, that's something that can't possibly exist.
Whereas political drama is real, and
yeah, exactly.
And you're an old man now, and you want that.
I can relate to. I can relate to.
Okay, well now you're just every fan out there. All right.
I can relate to political drama. I mean,
I can understand this, so it's good.
And that goes to, okay, if there's going to be more films, which there are, they can't possibly take place in the future if everything's happy. And
I'm telling you, this ends with everyone going to Earth. It's like the end of Battlestar Galactica.
Great.
Weird.
It's just Earth.
It's just Earth.
I mean, it can't just be we finally reach balance, because that's too lame, right? That can't be the answer.
I don't know. I was just throwing something.
Just everyone suddenly gets just a surge of force and everyone's happy.
No,
like, I understand now.
That would be bad.
I know kung fu.
No,
it's not going to be like a Matrix. Everyone just gets like shot up with force feelings, and they're like, "Oh, I get it.
No.
I understand."
No, that would be bad.
Well, fine. Good. Agreed.
Well, good, because I didn't want that anyway. No, I'm saying I just want there to be some kind of like Force through line. Like I want to get deeper into the Force and why.
I think we'll get a better understanding of it, but
what's being achieved through the awakening that happened in Rey and Ben and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's the interesting question. Can balance actually be achieved? And if it is, what does that actually mean for everyone else?
Yeah, what does it look like?
Does it? I assume that would, because the Force is everything. It's, all around. Does that affect the actual universe and galaxy as a whole if balance is achieved? And what does that
directly or indirectly?
Do? Yeah.
Like it affected the galaxy in the way that Anakin became Darth Vader. That's more of an indirect kind of effect. But
I mean, balance in the Force.
Or is it direct and they get injected with force fields?
Balance in the Force isn't going to. That, I think, to me at least, I assume balance in the Force just has to do with the Jedi and Sith and those that are Force powered. It doesn't really affect everyone else.
I don't know. Those were religions built around the Force, so.
And because they're prolific or have been, they've created the imbalance in and of themselves.
They've created imbalance by trying to force balance. I guess. At least that's what happened with the Jedi.
Balance in the Force isn't going to stop there being bounty hunters. Like, that doesn't affect humanity.
Sure.
Or whatever you want to call it. It's obviously it's not. Aliens aren't humanity. I don't know what you call the people at large. Like, it's not going to affect all of
the galaxy.
The galaxy. There's still going to be good and bad.
Yeah.
So I feel like balance in the Force is really just relating to those that have created,
that are attuned to the Force.
That are creating imbalance by trying to force one side versus the other.
Yeah.
Almost.
Maybe.
But that's not going to solve the political problem, which God knows what can happen there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's next. I don't know what hasn't been tried other than, because there's always been this big threat to fight, you know? So, yeah, I don't know.
There can't not, I mean, that's,
what happens
I think that's
when
what we've talked before on other episodes. It's like what, there's what if there's nothing to fight? There's what now?
Yeah, what do we do now?
What happens after this? Everything's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There are a lot of questions that this movie can answer, at least. I don't know if it will.
And there's been recent rumors there's been recent rumors that Rey and possibly Finn in some capacity are going to appear in the next trilogy of films.
In Ryan's trilogy specifically is what the rumor is, right?
They're unsure if it's Ryan's or the other one, the one that's happening first.
Daddy's Boys.
Sure. We'll keep calling them
DB and David?
David Benoff and
DB Weiss.
Yeah.
Which those guys are confirmed to be the next set of Star Wars movies. The next trilogy, yeah.
So there's been rumor that Rey and possibly Finn will appear in some capacity, in some secondary role capacity in some upcoming films.
Supporting type role.
Yeah, not the main characters, but they will exist in some capacity in the films.
Makes sense.
Which obviously I don't expect either of those characters to die. Honestly,
no.
that would be
Even Poe, I think it would be too early to
probably.
kill him off.
So
As
I mean,
indifferent as I am about
and that's
Poe.
what I mean. It was always assumed there would be more something with those characters, at least, whether
Yeah.
it be books or TV shows or something else.
Sure.
But it's interesting that they may be involved in upcoming films as well. Which again, if you have Rey and she has the Force, like what does that mean? If balance is struck or whatever's happening in these other films, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That also sets up the timeline for these other films too.
What do you think about Ben sacrificing himself so that Rey can live? Because I was thinking about
Didn't we
Rey
talk,
coming
was this
back,
last
but
episode
then-
we talked about that with Palpatine?
or 2 episodes ago, something I can't remember.
I think, what did I mention? I think that's one of the rumors right now too, is that Palpatine will try to
Use Ben
inhabit Ben,
Yeah,
or
right,
use
right,
Ben, and that Ben will sacrifice himself.
I don't remember that part of it.
I think that's
Damn
one
it, I
of
thought
them.
I was just coming up with that.
That Ben will basically allow that to happen, and then have Rey kill him so that Palpatine is destroyed along with himself.
Damn it.
I think that's one of the ongoing discussions that's happened.
Well, I thought I was being smart, and I just came up with that.
Can't.
That's
No,
just a...
don't
Don't? Okay.
don't try, Michael. You can't. You're 2 years behind on books. Were you gonna have new ideas about movies all of a sudden?
Hey, come on! I watch the movies, at least.
Come in here with like, I have a great idea for The Last Jedi.
Look, I'll prove it. There's a Luke, there's a Han, and there's a princess. I can't remember.
Oh.
And a dog. A big dog. He's really tall. He shoots a gun.
That's a scary dog.
What is this dog? Tell me more about this dog.
Beethoven?
Yes.
Yeah.
He wears a little thing. He's big. He's got a...
So I'm just picturing the giant Beethoven dog with like the little barrel around his neck. He's giant. He's wearing a little thing.
With a-
Is that
yeah,
what's happening?
with
Okay.
a bowcaster.
Oh, okay. I see. Does anyone know who Beethoven is anymore? Is that a thing that people...
The composer?
No, the giant dog.
The dog composed music?
Yes. Thank you for making this even more complicated than it needs to be.
He flies a spaceship too. That's part of it. From what
The
I
composer?
from what I remember.
I got to read up more about this guy. First he was a dog, then he had a spaceship, and he wrote music. I think he might have also been deaf.
This guy does everything.
What a crazy guy. What a crazy life. I'm going to be real disappointed when I pick up a documentary or a biography of Beethoven and it has none of this in it.
Now, when does the dog come in?
I'm really confused.
He's still a person. Does he turn into a dog?
There's nothing about spaceships in any of this.
That's
Very
your,
upset.
That's your Amazon review. It was okay, but I just the spaceships.
There was never any
There were never
spaceships.
any spaceships. 3 stars.
It was still fine. It was still good. Just there's no
What if
spaceships.
every review was that review? There are no spaceships. Where were all the spaceships? 3 stars. Apollo 11.
Only one? In a whole book, only one spaceship. Great. It's the night before Christmas. Like it's what is it? The Twas the Night Before Christmas story. You're writing that review on there, asking about spaceships.
Okay. It's a good joke.
That was a good joke. All the jokes are good here, all the time.
That's what we promise.
The
All the
guarantee.
jokes are good
Only
here.
good jokes.
Only the good ones. Because we don't tell the bad ones.
Certainly not. We would never. Well,
That's enough of this.
That's
I think at this
probably
point,
enough.
not much left to talk about.
No.
We keep rehashing the same things because we're all hot and bothered about what is this movie going to be and why is Palpatine involved and what's the story supposed to be?
Yeah. It's frustrating.
It's frustrating in a good way. So only 6 more months of this, us talking about the same thing every episode over and over again.
Something
until
will,
we see it. And
something
then we're
will
like,
happen eventually. I assume. God, I hope we get. It's been how many months since the trailer? Two? Is it 2?
When is D23? When's the next D23? All right. Well, we'll just sit here and
D23 is coming up.
not speak. Some good podcasting.
It's soon.
D23 Expo.
It is very soon, I think. In the next
August
couple months.
23rd,
There you go.
2019. That's right, because they talked about the schedule for that recently. So we'll get some more Star Wars stuff for that, probably. Another trailer.
I hope
imagine.
so. I hope we get something soon in the next couple months, I would think.
Until then, I'll just keep plugging away at this book, and we'll talk about it more.
2 more years, you can finish it.
That's true. In 2 years, I got 30%, so what's that going to be?
Great.
So we're talking about 6 years total to finish this thing.
Be 10 other Thrawn books by then.
We'll have
Did you know there's a third? Michael, there's been a movie series.
We'll have a whole trilogy be over, started and finished by the time I get to the end of the second book.
How sad.
This is good.
I just have to finish Alphabet Squadron before Thrawn Treason comes out, and that's going to be tough because I won't do it. It just won't. It won't happen. I'll see.
You
I'll
got a
try.
month. Come on, a month is enough time to finish the book, right?
coming from you of all people.
Hey, I just found out about this book, okay?
You're like, what? Read 3 books in 6 months? Sure.
Just found out about this book.
You just found out about a book that's 2 years old that I've told you about hundreds of times.
Have you heard of the aftermath? There's an aftermath. Did you hear about it?
The one from 6 years ago?
It's a book.
3 of them.
What? 3?
Who knew? Oh, great. All right. I don't think there's anything else to talk about now.
All right. Well, if
Ever
you
again.
enjoy us talking about things that don't need to be talked about anymore, you could follow us on Twitter at hokey_religion. Tweet at us your opinions.
Yep.
We want to hear them.
Thoughts, comments, concerns, please provide them.
Did anyone someone did review another podcast
Did they?
and link to us on Twitter.
I missed that.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was now.
What a wonderful.
Max Rebo on Twitter, I think, is their name. Let me look it up so I can.
On Twitter.
Beep, 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 bum, 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 bum.
This is good.
This person is listening, and
This is very good.
at Oberzam, OBERXAM,
Okay.
did it twice. I will say,
I totally missed this. That's fantastic.
so he did it 3 times. I will say you're Mr. Max Rebo. You're kind of doing it half-assed here because he did it for the WWE podcast, Into the Wormhole, and WTF.
Okay.
And it's like you gotta choose podcasts that don't already have millions of people listening. That's the only thing. I love this. This is great. You got to do more of this. But choose a show that's gonna hurt. If
they only have 5 other reviews, like you want them to feel it.
I want to see it on iTunes too. That would be pretty great. Send us your screenshots of reviewing other podcasts on iTunes and saying that the Hokey Religion podcast is good. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
My laptop's booping.
Don't
much.
boop. You can also hit us up via email at asklobot@hokeyreligion.com. You can find us on Facebook and other places that no one cares about. If you really enjoy the show, you can go to patreon.com/hokeyreligion and contribute monetarily to us.
Speaking of Lobot, wasn't there some rumor about Lobot for Rise of Skywalker? Or some rumor about it was
Lando still has
wearing
his like wristwatch thing, his like Lobot communicator thing.
Yeah.
On his wrist. He still has it.
We don't need to go into that
So,
now, but
Fingers crossed, we're gonna have some Lobot guys.
come on, Lobot still alive.
That would be so fantastic.
Can't possibly be played by the same guy.
Probably not.
But anyway, so
yeah,
email us, tweet us,
yeah,
tell us we're good in a review.
You're
Tell
so
us we're good.
encouraging. But yeah, if you enjoy the show, please let us know. Leave a review if you haven't already. We really do appreciate it. Otherwise, I think that's enough for today.
I think so too. We haven't been reviewed on iTunes, at least a written review, since 2018. That is unacceptable.
That's
unacceptable.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, guys.
I just rated our own podcast 5 stars.
Just now?
Yes.
Again?
I guess I haven't. Have I done that before?
Pretty sure.
Okay. Well, I did it again.
Great. Good job.
All right.
All right. Well, this is enough for episode 98. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons. Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.